Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Liz tēnei, ko o te kaiwhakahare, rauora. Welcome, hello everyone. Thank you, Aunt Betty. I'm Liz. I've been leading the sustainability work for the City Rail Link for the last few years. I've had a coffee this morning, so this makes me super jittery, which does not help with presentations, but we'll see how we go. So this morning I'm going to be talking about how we've been working with mana whenua to respond to the principles of kaitiakitanga, guardianship, in the sustainability work stream for CRL. I'll also touch on the integration of cultural narratives into the design of our stations and the work we've been doing focusing on social outcomes for Auckland. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just wanted to set the context for both the project and the work with mana whenua. So hopefully, I don't know whether Hayley's tested this, but there's a video. She says, with no sound. Hayley, with no sound. This is a lovely video that talks about the City Rail Link and what we're doing for Auckland. We've got a dead end right now in our rail network, which is just ludicrous. So basically we're actually pushing through that dead end to make sure that we've got a connected railway. Yay! Okay, you don't need to listen to me trying to do a voiceover. Good to go?
The City Rail Link will be the heart of Auckland's transport system, connecting the city centre to the rest of Auckland. Now trains heading into Britomart hit a dead end. By pushing through underground at Britomart and connecting the rail network, trains will be able to run both ways. This will double the number of trains that can run, delivering a train about every 5 to 10 minutes at peak for most stations. With 2 new underground stations near Aotea and Karangahape Road and a redeveloped station at Mount Eden, travel will be faster with better access to more parts of the city centre and further afield. Taking a train from New Lynn to the new Aotea station will take only about 20 minutes. That's almost half an hour saved compared to now. This will mean the number of people within 30 minutes train travel of a city centre station will double, which is great for business and employment. There'll be greater connectivity for the wider Auckland region too. For example, a trip from Otahuhu to K Road would be more direct, taking only 27 minutes. With Auckland's population growing by about 700,000 people in less than 30 years, public transport needs to become a reliable and effective transport choice. With the dead end at Britomart, rail can carry only 15,000 passengers an hour. With the CRL, rail can carry about 30,000 people an hour in peak. Compare that to a single motorway lane carrying just 2,400. More people on trains will free up roads for those who need them. The City Rail Link will also make it possible to expand the rail network to the North Shore via Wynyard Quarter and to the airport. The new City Rail Link, the heart of Auckland's transport system. AT, connecting Aucklanders.
So we're delivering our project in the heart of Auckland's CBD. That orange line there is the City Rail Link, with the portion between the 2 stations closest to the harbour being cut and cover tunnels, the remaining portion being tunnel bored. So a third of New Zealand's population, around 1.5 million, live in Auckland or Tamaki Makaurau, and just over 140,000 of the population are Māori, about a quarter of New Zealand's Māori population. So this is the project in plan form. CRL's been split into 8 contract packages. We've got 200 construction so far. So in the purple, contract 1, knocking through the dead end of Britomart and underpinning the historic listed Chief Post Office building. And contract 2 in the pale blue is the cut and cover portions of tunnels through one of our, what was main bus arterial roads. As well as that yellow section in the middle is actually being delivered by a developer who's building the downtown shopping centre. We've got 3 contracts in tender phase at the moment, so there's some stuff that obviously I'm not able to talk about. The big stations and tunnels contract is out for EOI at the moment. For C7, our line-wide systems, that's in the RFT phase. And C6, a small pipe jack, is also in RFT phase. So that's a real brief intro into the project. So mana whenua, it's a term used to describe Māori who have tribal links to Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. It's acknowledged that mana whenua have a special cultural and spiritual relationship with the environment. This includes their relationship with their wahi tapu, sacred sites, taonga, treasures, water and ancestral lands, and these relationships are a matter of national importance under New Zealand's Resource Management Act. In certain circumstances, resource consent applicants are required to engage with mana whenua as part of the consenting process. In Auckland, there are over a dozen iwi, or tribes, that represent mana whenua interests. So in 2012, the CRL project team were made up of only about half a dozen people. Before my time, our communications manager got in touch with all of the Auckland iwi to invite them to be involved in the process, and 8 responded with a yes. Ever since, the project has held monthly forums, huis, with the reps of Ngai Taiki Tamaki, Ngāti Maru, Ngāti Pawa, Ngāti Tamaho, Ngāti Te Ata, Ngāti Whatua, Te Akitai, and Te Kauro Amaki. These forums would typically focus on resource consent or RMA issues, but CRL has been working to partner with mana whenua throughout the process. So as well as the main forum, we have a design subgroup, and special workshops are held when we've got consenting upcoming so that everyone knows what's going on. We also had a sustainability subgroup, which is one of the things I'll be talking about today. But before I'll just introduce the work on responding to cultural narratives in the design. I'm also going to have a glass of water. So the Tiaranga principles, Māori design principles, were a starting point for our discussions. And mana whenua have shared their stories, cultural narratives with the CRL project team to give effect to these principles. Mana, authority, whakapapa, lineage, taio, environment, mauritu, health, and mahi toi, creative expression. So these are the 4 slides produced by Berenice, a member of the forum, to illustrate the atuas, or gods assigned to the 4 stations, contributing to mahi toi, creative expression. Now I can't quite do justice to talking about these the way that she does, but at Britomart, Tangaroa is the atua of the sea, appropriate as Britomart is below sea level and adjacent to the Waitemata Harbour. At Aotea, Haumia Tiki Tiki, and Norongo Mātāni, the atuas of cultivated foods hark back to the time when the area was planted and plentiful with food. So this is an artist's impression of the story of Ranganui and Papatuanuku. In the beginning, before the world was light, Rangi, the Sky Father, and Papa, the Earth Mother, were bound together. Their offspring caught in the darkness between them. Their strongest son, Tane Mahuta, put his shoulders to Papa and pushed upwards with his legs, creating life and light. So this is Ranganui and Papatuanuku's embrace, and the architectural representation of this narrative, which has been adopted as a project-wide theme, looking at elements of earth and sky. So this is reflected in the reference design for all of our station entrances, that image on the right being Aotea. So this is also Aotea, and here you can see the structural manifestation of the tukutuka panels, the weaving panels, and in plan the 7 skylights that mirror the 7 stars of Matariki, Māori New Year. So this sets the scene a little bit for our work with mana whenua, and now I'll move into my comfort zone a little bit more and talk about some of the sustainability work. I did train as an architect, but it's been a number of years and this is not my focus. So I joined the project back in 2014 when it was shifting from design development into reference design phase, and had a really clear mandate from our project director, which is awesome. We want to set the benchmark for designing and constructing sustainable infrastructure in New Zealand. So off I went. So C1 and C2, the 2 contracts that are currently under construction, were let at the end of 2014 as ECI contracts, and I had the opportunity to build 4 key requirements into the contracts. So we're targeting an infrastructure sustainability rating of excellent across all contract packages for design and as built. We're one of the New Zealand pilot projects of the IS tool, along with Auckland Airport and Panuku Development Auckland. We have an aspirational 0 waste to landfill goal, and our contractors have developed waste avoidance and resource recovery plans. Contract 1 are actually achieving over 98% diversion at the moment, which is great. We're measuring the project's carbon footprint, and we require monthly reporting to track progress. So as I mentioned, we've been collaborating with mana whenua in the design space and the cultural narratives being responded to in station architecture. And our consenting team thought it'd be a really awesome idea for me to go along and present to mana whenua on the sustainability work. So I was like, oh, sure, sounds good. It became evident pretty quickly that mana whenua were not super chuffed with us using an Australian sustainability framework. They were extremely concerned about the lack of responsiveness to Indigenous peoples, and specifically the cultural context of Aotearoa, New Zealand. However, with the IS framework already embedded into the C1 and C2 contracts, and an ECI phase already underway, mana whenua acknowledged that it was better to work with the framework rather than miss out the opportunity for influence altogether. So we started the conversation about how we'd make the IS framework more applicable to the cultural context of Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. So the forum chose a collection of credits that were of importance to them, that we focused on adopting or adapting or enhancing. And we set up a subgroup of the forum to achieve this. So these are the IS credits that the forum chose. I don't think any of us around the table really knew what shape this work would take, but we started with a lot of knowledge sharing. Me about the IS rating tool and the criteria, and the subgroup communicating about kaitiakitanga, guardianship, mana whenua's role as kaitiaki, guardians, and so much more. So we took the criteria from the technical manual, and the subgroup started feeding in their thinking, pulling and pushing at the aims and criteria, working to identify opportunities to respond to New Zealand's cultural context, ensuring the sustainability criteria were compatible with Te Ao Māori. So as the conversations evolved, it became apparent that we needed to set the scene for our discussions, particularly with reference to the principles of kaitiakitanga. So it's a term that's actually defined by our Resource Management Act, but it's not necessarily a definition accepted and supported by mana whenua. So what you see on the screen here is the context statement that was developed and supported by all 8 iwi that we were working with, which is a pretty good achievement. So this is just a snapshot, an example of some of the outcomes. We've worked with ISCA to have a CRL, IS technical manual and scoring spreadsheet produced, so that it's not just the IS manual and the mana whenua stuff on the side, it's all integrated. The context statement has been included in the C1 and C2 construction environmental management plans, with the principles of kaitiakitanga addressed in their procurement and waste avoidance plans. I think it's fair to say that our forum now support our use of the IS rating tool in the remaining contract packages. So this shows our CRL specific technical manual. Mahi Rauora Arotohu. Mahi Rauora translates directly as the work on the health of all things, and Arotohu directly translates as pathway sign, but can be inferred as guidance. So this is the guidance for our work on the health of all things. So this work with mana whenua, integrating cultural values into an industry-recognised sustainability framework, was recognised as world first in our verification of contracts 1 and 2, for which we received a leading design rating. Mana whenua were there to accept the certificate with us on both occasions. So this is not the end of the relationship or the journey. Mana whenua are involved in cultural monitoring on site for C1 and C2, and with the remaining contract packages still to be let, we're working together to ensure that cultural values and the narratives embedded within the design are appropriately addressed with both the tender and contract documentation. So the sustainability scope for the remaining contract packages is also expanded. I felt I didn't have enough on my to-do list. So much how a number of large infrastructure projects in Australia are starting to consider skills legacy and apprenticeships. We're also looking to do the same. It's a recent shift for us in New Zealand, particularly from a client-led point of view. So we know that areas of Auckland, those in red, have higher than average people not in employment, education or training. And we know that figures from our Ministry for Social Development show that nearly 75% of those who go on benefit under the age of 24 then stay on benefit for life. And we know that Māori are disproportionately represented in these groups. We have a skills shortage in construction, probably not dissimilar from you guys over here. It's got to the stage where it's making the news weekly, if not daily. IPENS, our Professional Institute of Engineers, also talk about being short of 500 engineers each year. And only 11% are women, so we're not doing very well on the diversity stakes. So we have a skill shortage and young people not in employment or education. So we want CRL to enable quality employment and workforce development opportunities for people who face barriers and disadvantage in the labour market, to upskill people, to create a suction effect to bring in new recruits. And we need our delivery partners to support us with this. With the duration of CRL's construction, it's actually going to be 6 or 7 years until we're finished. It's entirely possible that someone could start an engineering degree or trades training tomorrow and still have the opportunity to work on the delivery of CRL. And this is what projects overseas are doing. We've looked at a bunch of these. Crossrail has some awesome information. That's one of the UK projects on their Learning Legacy website. And I've had the opportunity to talk to our counterparts in Sydney Metro and High Speed 2 over in the UK. We're seeing on-site training hubs like the Barangaroo Skills Exchange, and we're seeing those crop up in Auckland with support from our Ministry for Social Development, Tertiary Education Commission, and Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment. It's really getting buy-in. We're also seeing supply chain interventions. When I was last in the UK, High Speed 2 were embarking on a supply chain roadshow, going around the country, ensuring that British firms knew what was coming so they could position themselves in the supply chain. So I've mentioned the IPEN stats that we're short of 500 engineers each year. In the UK, they're also reporting an ageing workforce in engineering. So the average age of an engineer is 57. Projects overseas are trying to be part of the solution, engaging our young people in the exciting career opportunities that there are in engineering and construction. So what's the scale of the opportunity for CRL? So based on a number of assumptions and industry experience, we've pulled together and released publicly a workforce profile. This is for contracts 3 to 9, so it doesn't include the construction already underway. It's for the on-site workforce, so it doesn't include the design engineers or those working in manufacturing the products that will go into the CRL. But it shows at peak, around 2022, 2023, there'll be around 1,600 people employed to deliver CRL. So for me, it's about creating training and employment, providing supply chain opportunities, and engaging our future workforce. And one of the reasons that we released that information is to enable training providers, those thinking about their future careers, and agencies involved in supporting those not in employment, educational training, to gear up, to prepare, to get ready to take advantage of that opportunity. So I think CRL is pretty cool. I get to work on the best parts of the project, the value add, which is really good. So it's about reducing the project's footprint, enhancing Auckland and the social well-being of Aucklanders. And so we just happen to be contributing to all of the Auckland Plan's transformational shifts, the Auckland Plan being the guiding document for Auckland heading towards 2040 with all that expansion and growth. We deliver on these through our prime purpose, being a public transport project, but also through our sustainability, cultural and social outcomes work. So, thank you.